remote user authentication using symmetric encryption. We do understood the meaning of symmetric encryption. What is symmetric encryption? The encryption which uses shared key, okay, or a secret key rather. Okay, so how do remote user authenticate himself using that key, that symmetric key or symmetric encryption method? So that we're going to discuss with this set of exchanges. Okay. So normally we call it as this process. This exchanges has been processed by or introduced by Needham and Schroeder. Okay, Needham and Schroeder. Normally we call it as Needham-Schroeder protocol. Okay, so whenever in exam we ask explain the process of Needham and Schroeder. Okay, so you need to explain this set of exchanges. Okay, now there were 5 exchanges between again 3 roles. A, we can assume it as a client, KDC, the trusted party, and B, we consider as a server or receiver. Okay, not a server, receiver, the other client. Okay, so again there were few terminologies here we need to know. ID A, it means identifiers of A. ID B, identifier of B. N1 is the nonce generated by A. Okay, and there's also called N2, which is a nonce generated by B. Okay, KS is the session key, which is generated by A or KDC, session key generated by the KDC, and which itself is the symmetric key as well. And KA, okay, KA, it is the secret key of A. KB is the secret key of B or a private key of B. Okay, so you need to know all the terminologies used in this equation. Okay, like K and KB. Okay, so which is generated here in the second equation. K and KB, it has been shared between A and KDC. K is known only to the person A himself and the KDC, and KB is known only to B himself and the KDC. Okay, and the purpose of this protocol, this set of exchanges, is to distribute KS securely. How to distribute session key or private key between A and B? Okay, using symmetric encryption technique. Right. Okay. So in step 2, you can see the step 1, A to KDC, wherein A is sending details, his detail, and ID of B to whom A wants to communicate, and A is generating N1. Okay, that is a nonce, a randomly generated number to identify a particular transaction. Then in terms of in response of the first request, KDC is responding back to A with 2 packages. Okay, one package is it's for A himself, and the other package is for B. Okay, so in one package, KDC is encrypting it using A's private key, that is KA, and in that package it including a session key and ID B to whom, or the same request which has been sent by A, right? IDB and the N1, IDB and N1 along with session key, it is adding. Okay, so that package is for A, using which A can see the details, and the other package is for B, which A cannot decrypt it. The other package is for B. Why? Because the other package has been encrypted using B's private key, KB, B's private key, KB, and in that package what all things it contains the session key and the sender's detail, like IDA. Okay, the IDA. So that package has been sent to A. Okay, when A got a response from KDC, A got to decrypt only the first package. And A comes to know about KS. A comes to know about the nonce generated by himself and the receiver's detail, that is IDB. Okay. Then A simply forward the second package, because A cannot open it. A cannot open the second package. Why? Because that package has been encrypted using B's private key. So what A does here, A simply forward the second package to B. Right? So you can see here, this package is same as the third communication. Okay, A to B, A simply forwarding the same package with which it got received from KDC. right? A is simply forwarding the package, that is EKB KS, IDA, which is unopened by A. Okay, when this package has been reached to B, okay, when this package has been reached to B, B can easily open it. Why? Because B knows his own private key. B knows his own private key, so only B can decrypt this package, and B comes to know about what all thing? B comes to know about the session key KS, and B comes to know about sender's detail IDA. Okay, IDA. This IDA is not sent by A. This IDA is sent by KDC. So B can easily trust on A's identity as A's identity has been sent by the trusted party. So B can easily trust upon this IDA, this detail. Okay. Now what B is doing? So in response of this request or the message, B is sending his nonce N2. Okay, and that N2 has been encrypted using KS. Okay, just to acknowledge to the third message, B is sending nonce N2, and that N2 has been encrypted using KS. Okay, and this KS is known by A as well. This is known by A person as well. So A can easily decrypt this message, and A comes to know about N2. A comes to know about N2. Now what A do? A will do some computation on N2. That is some increment, some +1, +2, or some computation on N2, and again that computation has been encrypted using the same session key KS. Okay, and it has been sent to B. Okay, and B, as he knows the session key, so B can easily come to know that A has the claiming authority, or the claiming person is A himself, so that I got the same nonce back with some modification by A. Okay, so now A and B can both trust upon each other. Okay, both can authenticate it himself remotely. Okay, so that's how we call this process as a remote user authentication using symmetric encryption. Okay, what is remote user authentication? Here the A and B were the remote users. A and B both were the remote users, and both remote users were proving their identity. Okay, proving their identity as a part of authentication using symmetric encryption. Now, what is symmetric encryption? Using the session key KS. And who provides that KS? KDC provided KS. Okay, KDC provides KS to A, and KDC provides KS to B as well. Okay, so using that symmetric encryption, both remote users can prove their identities. Both remote users can prove their identities. That's why the concept called as remote user authentication using symmetric encryption. Okay, I hope you got a clarity about these all 5 phases. Okay, but still the step 4 and 5, wherein B tries to prove his identity and A tries to prove his identity to the other person, it is still vulnerable to form a replay attack. Okay, it's still vulnerable to form a replay attack. Let's suppose that opponent X, say the third opponent X, it has been able to compromise the old session key. Okay, the old session key which has been used in past some days or past some years. Okay, can anyone just think that how does that happen? How does that attack happen by the opponent X?